Welcome to my expat stories. Ever pay someone to fix you, only to realise you are funding their entire life? Tony's 58, retired electrician from Bristol. His wife Catherine died 3 years ago, and his back's been killing him ever since. Proper pain, the kind that wakes you up at night. Doctor said try massage therapy. So Tony went to Chiang Mai, found a small shop run by Wilai. She was 42, professional, experienced, wasn't working in some tourist spa, just a quiet neighbourhood place where locals went. And over 18 months, Tony kept going back. Not for romance, not for anything dodgy, just for the massage, just to feel better. And somehow, without her ever asking for a single penny, he sent £67,000. If you've ever helped someone who never actually asked for help, this one will make you question everything. Hit that subscribe button and drop your thoughts below. Here's Tony. I'm Tony. Anthony officially, but no one's called me that since school. I'm 58 years old, spent 34 years as an electrician in Bristol. Domestic, mostly. Rewiring old houses, fixing dodgy work from cowboys. Good, steady work. Retired 2 years ago when my back finally said enough's enough. I was married to Catherine for 31 years. Met her at a pub in Clifton when I was 23. She was a teaching assistant. Lovely woman, kind, patient. We had a good life, no kids. We tried, but it didn't happen. After a while, we stopped trying and just got on with it. Just us two. That was enough. Catherine died 3 years ago. February 2022. Stroke. Massive one. She was in the garden hanging washing. I was inside making a cup of tea. Heard a noise. Went out. She was on the ground. Gone before the ambulance even arrived. Just like that. 31 years. Over. I didn't handle it well. First year I barely left the house. My mates would ring. Ask if I wanted to go down the pub. I'd say no. They'd try again next week. Same answer. Eventually they stopped asking. Can't blame them. No one wants to be around someone who's given up. My back got worse after Catherine died. Proper worse. I'd been managing it for years. Electrician's back. Crawling in loft spaces. Bending in tight spots. Lifting consumer units. It adds up. But after Catherine, it got bad. Some days I couldn't get out of bed. Other days I'd be fine till lunchtime, then seize up completely. Went to the doctor. He said it's muscle tension. Stress. Grief manifesting physically. He prescribed painkillers. Said try physiotherapy. Try massage. Try moving more. I tried the physio. Didn't help. Tried the pills. Helped a bit but made me foggy. I needed something else. My mate Dave, he'd been to Thailand, Chiang Mai, said they've got proper massage there. Traditional Thai massage, not the dodgy stuff. Real therapeutic massage. He said it sorted his shoulder out. 6 sessions, and he was right as rain. I said, I'm not going to Thailand. He said, why not? You're retired. You've got nothing tying you here. Go for a month. Get some sun. Get your back sorted. Come home feeling human again. I thought about it. Sat in my house. Staring at the walls. Catherine's chair still in the corner. Her books on the shelf. Her coat still hanging by the door. I needed to get away. Needed to stop living in a museum. So in November 2023, I booked 4 weeks in Chiang Mai. Just me. My back brace. And a list of massage places Dave had recommended. I landed on a Tuesday. Hot. But not Bangkok hot. Chiang Mai's in the mountains. Bit cooler. More bearable. I got a taxi to my apartment. I'd rented a small studio near Nimman. Month-long rental. Cheap as chips. 200 quid for the whole month. Back home that'd get you a week in Western Supermare. First few days I just settled in. Walked around, got my bearings. Found a Tesco Lotus. Found a 7-Eleven. Found a pub that did English breakfast. That was me sorted. My back was playing up. Long flight hadn't helped. I needed to find a massage place. I googled Thai massage Chiang Mai. Got about 10,000 results. Tourist places, spa places. Expensive places. I wanted something local. Something real. Not some fancy hotel spa charging 50 quid an hour. I asked my landlord. Thai bloke. Maybe 60. Spoke decent English. I said, where do locals go for massage? He said, oh, you want real massage? Not tourist massage? I said, yeah. Real one. He said there's a place 2 streets over. Run by a woman. Very good. Been there 20 years. Locals only. No tourists. He drew me a map. Said, go there. tell her Somchai sent you. Next day I walked there. Took me 10 minutes. Residential area. Not touristy at all. Found the place. Small shop front. Sign in Thai. English underneath said traditional Thai massage. Through the window I could see it was basic. 2 massage beds. Wooden floor. Fan. I walked in. There was a Thai woman sat at a small desk. She looked up. Smiled, maybe early 40s. Grey starting in her hair. Wearing simple clothes. T-shirt and loose trousers. She said, "Hello, can I help you?" I said, "Yeah, I'm looking for a massage. My back's giving me trouble." She said, "Okay, you want Thai massage or oil massage?" I said, "I don't know. What's the difference?" She explained. Thai massage is stretching, pressure. Fully clothed. Oil massage is softer, relaxing. For back pain, Thai massage is better, deeper, fixes the problem. I said, "All right, Thai massage then." She said, "Okay, 1 hour, that's about £6." I said, "That's it." She smiled. Said, "This is local price, not tourist price." I said, "Brilliant. When can you do it?" She said, "Now." "If you want." I said, "Perfect." She led me to the back. Small changing area. Gave me loose cotton clothes. Said, "Change into these." I changed. Came out. She was waiting by one of the beds. She said, "Lie down." I did. She said, "Where is the pain?" I pointed to my lower back. She felt around, pressed. I winced. She said, "Very tight." "Very bad. You work in office?" I said, "No." "Electrician, retired." She said, bending, lifting." I said, "Yeah." 34 years of it. She nodded. Said, "I understand. I will help." For the next hour she worked on my back. And I mean worked. It wasn't relaxing, it was painful. Proper painful. She'd press her elbow into knots, stretch my legs back, push my knees to my chest, crack my spine. I'd grunt. She'd say, "Breathe. Breathe through it." I did. By the end I was sweating, exhausted. But when I stood up, something had shifted. The pain was still there, but different. Looser. Like she'd unstuck something that had been stuck for months. She said, "Drink water. Rest today. Come back in 2 days. I will work on it more." I said, "Definitely." "How much do I owe you?" She said, 300 baht. I gave her 500. Said, "Keep it." She said, "No, too much." I said, "Please. You've helped me more in an hour than my physio did in 6 months." She smiled. Said, "Thank you. You are kind. My name is Wilai." I said, "I'm Tony." She said, "Nice to meet you, Tony. See you in 2 days." I went back 2 days later, then 2 days after that, then twice a week for the rest of the month. Each session she'd work on different areas. My back, my shoulders, my hips. She'd explain what she was doing. This muscle is tight because of this. This nerve is pinched because of that. She knew her stuff. Proper knew it. Wasn't just rubbing me down. She was fixing me. By week 3, my back felt better than it had in years. I could bend without pain, sleep through the night, walk without that constant ache. It was brilliant. Properly brilliant. I told her, said, "You've sorted me out." She said, "Good. I am happy. But you must keep it up. When you go home, you must stretch. Move, don't sit too long." I said I will. We'd chat during the sessions. Not much. Just small talk. She'd ask about England, about Bristol. I'd ask about Chiang Mai, about her life. She said she'd been doing massage for 22 years. Learned from her mother. Her mother learned from her grandmother. Proper traditional. She had a daughter, 16 years old, in school. Smart kid, good grades. She was proud of her. You could tell. I asked if she was married. She said no. Divorced, long time ago. I said me too. Well, widowed. She said, "I'm sorry." I said, "It's all right. Been 3 years now." She said, "Still hard though." I said, "Yeah, still hard." On my last day in Chiang Mai, I went for a final session. She worked on my back. Said it's much better. But you must be careful. Don't let it get bad again. I said, "I won't. I'll keep stretching like you showed me." She said, "Good." I paid her. Gave her a decent tip. Said, "Thank you for everything. You've properly helped me." She said, "You're welcome. Come back any time." I flew home feeling better than I had in years. Back to Bristol. Back to the empty house. But something had changed. I felt lighter, not just physically, mentally too. I'd got away, done something for myself, helped myself. It felt good. I kept up the stretches, kept moving. My back stayed decent. Not perfect, but manageable. better than it had been in years. 3 months later, I booked another trip. 4 weeks again. Same apartment. I messaged Wilai online. We'd swapped details before I left. I said I'm coming back. Can I book some sessions? She said, of course. I am happy you come back. I will take care of you. I arrived in Chiang Mai. Went straight to her shop the next day. She smiled when she saw me. Said, Tony, you came back. I said, told you I would. How's your back? I said, not bad, but could use your help again. She said, okay, let's see. She worked on me, said it's better than before. You've been stretching. I can tell. I said, yeah, been doing what you taught me. She said, good. You're a good student. Over that month, I went twice a week, 8 sessions total. My back was sorted, properly sorted. But I kept going anyway. It felt good. The routine, having somewhere to be, someone who cared about how I was doing, even if it was just professional. It was something. During one session, she mentioned her daughter, said she needed new school uniform. Costs going up. Everything getting expensive. I said, yeah, same in England. She said, yes. Difficult everywhere. She didn't ask for anything. Didn't hint, just mentioned it. But I thought about it. After the session, I said, Wilai, how much is the uniform? She looked surprised. Said, why? I said, just curious. She said, maybe about 40 quid. I pulled out my wallet, gave her 2,000 baht. Said, for your daughter, for the uniform. She said, no, Tony, I cannot take. I said, please. You've helped me so much. Let me help you. She hesitated, then said, thank you. You are very kind. My daughter will be happy. That felt good. Helping someone who'd helped me. It wasn't charity. It was just being decent. That's all. A week later, she mentioned her motorbike. Said it needed repairs. Brakes weren't working properly. Dangerous, but repair shop wanted about 60 quid. She'd have to wait till next month. Save up. I said I'll pay for it. She said no. Tony, too much. I said it's 60 quid, that's nothing. Your brakes are important. You've got a daughter. You need to be safe. She said, I don't know what to say. I said, say you'll get it fixed today. She smiled. Said, okay, thank you. I gave her the money. She got the brakes fixed. Came back the next session. Said, motorbike is perfect now. Thank you so much. I said, good. I'm glad. By the time I left, I'd given her about 5 grand total. School uniform, motorbike. Her rent 1 month when she mentioned the landlord increased it. Small things. Nothing huge. But it added up and it felt right. She was helping me. I was helping her, that's how it should be. I went home, kept in touch online. She'd message every few weeks, ask how my back was. I'd say it's good. Thanks to you. She'd send me photos. Her daughter in the new uniform. The motorbike running well. Just updates. Friendly chat. Nothing weird. Nothing pushy. 6 months later, August 2024, I booked another trip. Month long again. Told Wilai. She said, wonderful. I look forward to seeing you. Same routine. Twice a week. My back didn't even need it anymore. But I went anyway. It was the one place in the world where someone asked how I was and actually listened to the answer. During that trip, things shifted a bit. She started opening up more, telling me about her struggles. Her daughter wanted to go to university, but fees were expensive. She was saving, but it'd take years. Her ex-husband didn't pay child support. Never had. She was doing it all alone. I listened. Didn't offer money. Just listened. But after the session, I thought about it. University fees, that's important. That's her daughter's future. I asked her how much. She said maybe 80,000 baht a year, about 1,600 quid, for 4 years. I did the math, 6.5 grand total. I had that. I'd sold Catherine's car last year. Got 8 grand for it. It was just sat in my account. Doing nothing. I said to Wilai, what if I helped? With the university fees? She said, what? No. Tony, that's too much. I said, I've got the money. I'm not using it. Your daughter should go to university. She's smart. You said so yourself. Let me help. She started crying. Actually crying. Said, I cannot accept. It's too much. I said, please. It'd make me happy. To know I helped. She said, I don't deserve this. I said, you do. You've helped me more than you know. I gave her the money. All of it. 6.5 grand. She cried again. Said she'd pay me back. I said, don't be daft. You're not paying me back. This is a gift. For your daughter. For her future. She hugged me. First time she'd ever done that. Said, thank you. Thank you. You are a blessing. I felt good. Properly good. Better than I'd felt since Catherine died. I was helping someone, making a difference, being useful. That's all I wanted, to be useful again. That's when the money really started flowing. And that's when I should have realised something was wrong. I went back to Bristol, feeling like I'd done something meaningful. Catherine would have been proud. She was always the one who helped people, sponsored kids in Africa, donated to charity shops, volunteered at the food bank. I was just the bloke who fixed their electrics. But this felt different. This felt like I was carrying on what she'd started, helping someone who needed it. Wilai messaged me more often after that, not asking for anything, just checking in. How's your back? How's Bristol? How's the weather? I'd reply. It's good, it's rainy, it's cold, the usual. She'd send photos of her daughter studying. Said she's working hard. Thanks to you, she has a future. That made me feel good, properly good. 3 months later, November 2024, I went back. Another month-long trip. It was becoming routine now. Every few months, Chiang Mai, Wilai's shop, my back, our chats. It was the only thing I looked forward to. Back in Bristol, it was just me, the telly, and too much time to think. During that November trip, Wilai seemed stressed. I could tell. She was quiet during the massage. Not chatty like usual. I said, "You all right?" She said, "Yes." "Just tired." I said, "What's wrong?" She said, "Nothing. Just life." I said, "You can tell me, we're friends, aren't we?" She smiled. Said, "Yes, we are friends. Good friends." She told me her mother was sick, diabetes, getting worse, needed medication. Expensive medication. The government hospital had waiting lists. Private hospital was faster, but cost money. A lot of money. She was trying to save, but business was slow. Not many customers lately. She was worried. I said, "How much?" She said, "What?" I said, "How much for the medication?" She said, "Tony, no. I'm not asking." I said, "I know you're not asking." She said, "It's about 300 quid. For at least 6 months. Maybe longer. That's too much." I said, "It's not too much. Your mother needs it. Let me help." She said, "I cannot keep taking from you." I said, "You're not taking. I'm giving. There's a difference." I set up a monthly transfer. 300 quid. Straight to her account. For 6 months. 1,800 quid total. She cried. Said, "I don't know how to thank you." I said, "You don't need to thank me. Just take care of your mother." That month I also noticed the shop was looking tired. Walls needed painting. The sign outside was faded. One of the massage beds was wobbly. I said, "Wilai, this place could use some work." She said, "I know, but I don't have money for repairs right now." I said, "What if I paid for it?" She said, "No, you've already done too much." I said, "Let me do this. Consider it an investment. You fix up the shop, you get more customers, you make more money." She said, "You really think that?" I said, "Yeah, of course I do." I gave her another 5 grand. For repairs, new paint, new sign. Fix the beds. Prop her up. She used it well. By the time I left, the place looked brilliant, fresh, professional. She said, "Already I have 2 new customers." They saw the sign. "Came in. You were right." I said, "Told you." I went home having spent about 8.5 grand that trip. Didn't matter. I had the money. What else was I going to spend it on? Sitting in my house in Bristol watching Pointless. At least this way I was helping someone. Making a difference. December. Wilai messaged. Said her landlord was selling the building. She'd have to move the shop. Find new premises, but new places wanted big deposits. 6 months up front, plus key money, plus renovation costs to fit it out. She was panicking. Said she might have to close the business. Find work somewhere else. I said, "How much do you need?" She said I shouldn't ask. I said, "How much?" She said maybe 60,000 baht for deposit and key money. About 1,200 quid. Then another 40,000 baht for moving and setting up. About 800. 2 grand total. I sent it the same day. She said, "Tony, I will pay you back." I said, "No, you won't. Just find a good location. Keep the business going." She found a place. Better location, actually. Busier street. More foot traffic. Moved in January, sent me photos. It looked great. Bigger than the old place. 3 massage beds instead of 2. She said, "Business is already better. Thank you for believing in me." I went back in February 2025. The new shop was brilliant. Properly brilliant. She'd done it up nice. Clean. Professional. Busy too. I had to book ahead. She said, "I have 5 regular customers now, plus walk-ins. You were right about the location." I said, "I'm glad. You deserve success." During that trip, she mentioned her daughter needed a laptop for university. Assignments. Research. Everyone had one except her. She was using the library computers, but they were always busy. I said, how much? She said, Tony, please. You've done enough. I said, how much? She said, maybe about 500 quid. I said, I'll get it sorted. Bought her daughter a decent laptop. Had it delivered to their apartment. Wilai sent me a photo of her daughter's face when she opened it. The girl was crying. Happy tears. Wilai said she says, thank you, Uncle Tony. I said, tell her she's welcome. Study hard. Over that trip, I also paid for some new equipment for the shop. Proper massage table. Better quality. Professional grade. 2,000 quid. Wilai said, this is too much. I said, you need good equipment. You're a professional. This is an investment in your business. I was spending more time at the shop too. Not just for massage. I'd drop by, chat, help out sometimes, carry things, fix the Wi-Fi when it played up, rewire a plug, electrician habits. She'd make me tea. We'd sit and talk about life, about Catherine, about her ex-husband, about being alone, about getting older. It felt like friendship. Real friendship. Not just customer and therapist. One evening after a session, she said, Tony, can I ask you something? I said, course. She said, why do you help me so much? I said, because you helped me first, my back, my head. You made me feel human again. She said, but this is different. This is so much money. I said, I've got the money. I'm not using it. You need it. Why wouldn't I help? She said, most people don't think like that. I said, maybe, but Catherine did, and I reckon she'd want me to. She put her hand on mine, said, you're a good man, Tony. A very good man. I said, I'm just doing what's right. She said, I'm very lucky to know you. I said, I'm lucky to know you too. That felt like something shifting. Not romantic, not like that, but something deeper. Like we were family. Like I'd found someone who needed me. And I hadn't realised how much I needed to be needed. By the time I left that February, I'd spent another 7 grand. Equipment, laptop, monthly money for her mother's medication, bits and pieces for the shop. It was adding up, but it felt good. Every penny felt like it was going somewhere meaningful. Back in Bristol, I started planning my next trip. April, just 2 months away. Couldn't wait that long. I was messaging Wilai every day now. Morning, evening, just checking in. How's business? How's your daughter? How's your mother? She'd reply. All good. Thanks to you. Miss you. Come back soon. I felt lighter than I had in years. I had purpose. I was helping someone build a life. I was part of something. Not just a lonely old bloke in Bristol waiting to die. I was Uncle Tony, the good man from England who helped. March came. Wilai messaged, said her daughter got into university. Accepted. Starting September. She was over the moon, said it's all because of you. You made this possible. I said I'm so proud of her. Tell her well done. She said she wants to thank you in person, when you come next. I said I'll be there in April. Tell her I can't wait to meet her. Then Wilai said there's something else. I said what? She said the university wants first-term fees up front, before she starts, plus accommodation deposit, plus books. It's a lot. I said how much? She said about 1,800 quid. I said that's fine, I'll send it. She said, Tony, no, this is too much. You've already paid for 4 years. This is extra. I said it doesn't matter, she needs it. I'll send it. I sent it. 1,800 quid. She sent me a crying emoji, said I don't deserve you. I said stop it. Just get her sorted. April came. I flew to Chiang Mai. Excited, properly excited. I was going to meet her daughter, see how the business was doing, spend time with Wilai. It felt like going home, more than Bristol did. I got to the shop, walked in. It was busy, all 3 beds occupied. Wilai saw me, smiled. Said, Tony, you're here. She came over, hugged me, said I missed you. I said missed you too. How's everything? She said so good. Business is great. My daughter is so happy about university. My mother's medication is working. Everything is good, because of you. I felt proud, genuinely proud. I'd helped make this happen. This success, this happiness. I was part of it. That evening, Wilai invited me to her apartment for dinner, said I want you to meet my daughter properly, and my mother. They want to thank you. I said, you don't need to do that. She said, please, let us show our gratitude. I went. Small apartment, 2 bedrooms, simple but clean. Her mother was lovely. Tiny old woman. Didn't speak English but smiled a lot. Her daughter was there, bright kid, shy but polite. She said, "Thank you for helping me go to university." I said, "You're welcome, love. Work hard. Make your mum proud." She said, "I will." We had dinner, Thai food, Wilai cooked. It was nice, properly nice. Felt like family, like I belonged somewhere. After dinner, Wilai walked me out, said thank you for coming, for everything. I said any time. She said, "I'm so lucky to have you in my life." I said, "I'm lucky to have you in mine." Over that month, I kept helping. Shop needed new towels, paid for them. Her daughter needed money for university registration, paid for it. Wilai's motorbike broke again. Different problem. Paid for it. Small things. 500 here, 300 there, but it added up. I also started thinking about the future, about selling my house in Bristol, about maybe getting a place in Chiang Mai. Not full-time, but a base. Somewhere I could come for longer, be around more, help more, be part of this life I was building. I mentioned it to Wilai, said I'm thinking about buying a small condo here. Come for 3 months at a time, maybe. She said, "Really? That would be wonderful. We could see you more." I said, "Yeah, I think I'm ready for that." She said, "I think that's a good idea. You're happy here, I can see it." I went back to Bristol in May, started the process, put the house on the market. Estate agent said it'd take a few months, maybe longer. Market was slow. I said, "That's fine. No rush. Just get it sold." I'd now sent Wilai about 28 grand total over about 18 months. Didn't seem like that much spread out. University fees, shop repairs, equipment, monthly medication, moving costs, laptop, registration fees, bits and pieces. All reasonable, all necessary, all helping someone I cared about. But then June came, and Wilai said something that should have made me stop and think. She said, "Tony, you've been so kind, so generous. I don't know how to repay you." I said, "You don't need to repay me." She said, "But I feel bad. Taking so much." I said, "You're not taking. We're friends. This is what friends do." She said, "Yes. Friends. Good friends." Something about the way she said it felt off, like she was reminding herself. Or reminding me, but I pushed it away. I was probably reading too much into it. I was helping. She was grateful. That's all it was. July, I booked another trip. August. 1 month. Told Wilai. She said, "Wonderful. I can't wait." The house in Bristol still hadn't sold, but I had savings, plenty to keep going. Keep helping. Keep being part of her life. I landed in Chiang Mai mid-August. Went straight to the shop. It was closed. Sign on the door said back in 30 minutes. I waited. 30 minutes passed. An hour. Still closed. I rang Wilai, no answer. I messaged, no reply. I waited another hour, then walked to her apartment. Rang the bell. No answer. Tried calling again. Still nothing. I started getting worried. Was she okay? Was something wrong? I asked a neighbour. Thai woman, maybe 50. I said, "Do you know Wilai?" She said, "Yes." I said, "Have you seen her?" She said, "Yes. This morning. She left with a man. On motorbike." I said, "What man?" She shrugged. Said her boyfriend, maybe. I don't know. Boyfriend. I stood there, that word ringing in my head. Boyfriend. She'd never mentioned a boyfriend. Never. Not in 18 months. Not once. I went back to my apartment, sat on the bed, tried calling again. Finally she answered. Said, "Tony. Sorry, I was busy." I said, "Where are you?" She said, "At my mother's house. Emergency." I had to close shop. I said, "What emergency?" She said, "My mother fell. Hospital. I'm there now." I said, "Which hospital?" "I'll come." She said, "No need, she's okay now. Just checking her. I'll come see you later." I said, "All right. Let me know if you need anything." She came to my apartment that evening. Said, "Sorry about today. My mother is fine. Just a scare." I said, "That's good. I'm glad she's all right." She said, "Yes, me too." We talked for a bit. Normal chat. But something felt different. She seemed distant, distracted. I asked if everything was okay. She said yes. Just tired. Over that trip she was different. Busier, less available. Cancelled 2 of my massage appointments. Said sorry, fully booked. I said, "That's good. Business is going well." She said yes, very well. But I barely saw her outside the shop. She didn't invite me for dinner again. Didn't suggest meeting her daughter. Just professional. Polite but distant. Like we'd gone backwards. I started wondering. About the boyfriend comment. about her being distant, about things not feeling right. But I pushed it down. She was busy, that's all. Business was good. She was stressed, that's normal. I went home in September feeling uneasy. Something had shifted. I couldn't put my finger on it. But something was wrong. Then October, I decided to go back. Unannounced, no warning, just show up. See what was really going on. See if my gut was right or if I was just being paranoid. I booked a flight. 1 week. Quick trip. Didn't tell Wilai. Didn't message. Just went. And that's when I found out the truth. I landed in Chiang Mai on a Wednesday afternoon. October 2025. Didn't tell Wilai. Didn't message. Just got a taxi straight to the shop. It was about 3 p.m, middle of the day, should be open. I walked up. The shop was there, sign looked good. The one I'd paid for. Through the window I could see it was busy. 2 of the 3 beds occupied. Someone was working. But it wasn't Wilai. It was a younger Thai woman. Maybe 25. I didn't recognise her. I walked in. The young woman looked up, smiled. Said, "Hello. Can I help you?" I said, "Yeah. Is Wilai here?" She said, "Wilai." I said, "Yes." "Wilai, the owner." She looked confused. Said, "Kun Pichai owns this shop." I said, "No. Wilai owns it." She said, "No. Kun Pichai. He owns it. Wilai works here sometimes." "But today she's not working?" I said, "When will she be here?" The woman shrugged. Said, "Maybe tomorrow. Maybe next week. She comes and goes. Do you want massage?" I said, "No. Thanks." I walked out, stood on the street. Kun Pichai. Who the hell was Kun Pichai? Wilai never mentioned anyone owning the shop. She said it was hers. I'd paid for the repairs, the move, the equipment. I'd invested in her shop, not someone else's. I walked to her apartment. Same building as before. Rang the bell. Waited. No answer. Rang again. Still nothing. I tried calling her. Straight to voicemail. I messaged online. "I'm in Chiang Mai, at your apartment. Need to talk." I waited outside for an hour. Then I saw her, coming up the street. But she wasn't alone. There was a Thai man with her, maybe 45. They were laughing, talking. He had his arm around her waist, casual, comfortable, like they'd been together forever. She saw me. Her face went white, properly white. She stopped walking. The man looked at me, then at her, said something in Thai. She replied. They had a quick conversation. Then she walked over. The man stayed back, watching. She said, "Tony, what are you doing here?" I said, "I came to see you. Wanted to surprise you." She said, "You should have told me." I said, "Who's that?" I pointed at the man. She said, "That's Pichai, my partner." I said, "Your partner?" She said, "Yes. We've been together 12 years. I said, 12 years? You never mentioned him." She said, "You never asked." I felt my chest go tight. I said, "I never asked. We've been friends for 18 months. I've given you £28,000. And you never mentioned you had a partner." She said, "It's complicated." I said, "How is it complicated? You're with him. You've been with him the whole time." She didn't answer. I said, "Who owns the shop?" She said, "Pichai." I said, "Pichai? Not you." She said, "We own it together, but it's registered to him. Easier that way." I said I paid for the repairs, the equipment, the move, all of it. She said, "I know, and I'm grateful. It helped the business." I said, "Your business. You said it was your business." She said, "It is my business. I work there. I manage it. Pichai handles the money side." I said, "So all the money I sent for the shop, that went to him?" She said it went to the business. Our business. I said, "What about your mother's medication?" She said, "My mother is fine. She takes medication. But government hospital covers most of it." I said, "You said it costs 300 quid a month." She said it costs about £40 a month. "I send you receipts for 300 because..." She stopped. I said, "Because what?" She said, "Because you offered. You wanted to help." I didn't ask, you offered. I said, "So you took extra?" She said, "I needed the money. For bills. For life." You had it. You offered. I didn't force you. I said, "What about your daughter's university?" She said, "She's at university." You did help with that. I said, "The laptop." She said, "She has a laptop." I said, "The registration fees, the accommodation." She looked away. Said some of it was real, some of it was less than I said. I said, "How much less?" She said, "Does it matter? You wanted to help. You felt good helping. I needed money. Everyone was happy. I said I wasn't helping you. I was helping him, your partner, your business, your life together." She said, "You were helping me. I work there. I live here. This is my life." I said, "Did you ever care about me? Or was I just a wallet?" She said, "I care about you. You're a good man. A kind man. But I have a life here. I have Pichai. I have my daughter. I have my mother. You knew I wasn't available. I never said I was. I said available. I didn't want you to be available. I wanted you to be honest." She said I was honest about what mattered. I said what mattered. She said the massage, the friendship. That was real. I said the friendship where you lied about everything. She said I didn't lie. You just assumed things. I never corrected you because you were happy. You wanted to help. So I let you. Pichai walked over, said something to Wilai in Thai. She replied. He looked at me, said in English, "You have problem?" I said, "Yeah, I've got a problem. I gave your girlfriend £28,000 thinking I was helping her. Turns out I was funding your business." He looked confused. Said what? I said the shop, the equipment, the repairs, the move. I paid for all of it. He said, "You paid?" I said, "Yeah, I paid." He looked at Wilai, said something sharp in Thai. She replied, defensive. They argued for a minute. Then he looked at me, said I didn't know. She told me she saved the money from tips from customers. She never said someone gave it. I said, well, someone did. Me. He said, "I'm sorry. I didn't know. But this is our business. We've been together 12 years. This is our life." I said, "I know that now. Wish I'd known it 18 months ago." I walked away, went back to my apartment, sat on the bed, opened my banking app, went through every transfer to Wilai, one by one. £40 here, 300 there, 500, 2,000, 1,800. It was all there, every penny. I added it up properly. Not 28 grand. More, I'd forgotten some. Small transfers, bits and pieces, emergency money, random requests. Total, £34,620. 34 grand. For a business that wasn't hers, for medical bills that were inflated, for university fees that were partly real, partly padded, for a life she was already living with someone else, for 18 months of feeling needed when I was just being used. I didn't go to the police. What would I say? I gave money to someone voluntarily. She used it for her business and her life. She never asked. I offered. That's not fraud, that's just me being stupid. I didn't try to get the money back. What was the point? It was spent. The equipment was in the shop. The university fees were paid. The money was gone. I'd never see it again. I flew home 2 days later, back to Bristol. The house still hadn't sold. I took it off the market. I wasn't moving to Chiang Mai. I wasn't buying a condo. I wasn't going back. I blocked Wilai on everything. Line, phone, email. All of it. Deleted the photos, deleted the messages. Tried to delete the whole experience. But you can't delete 34 grand. You can't delete 18 months of feeling like you mattered to someone when you were just a revenue stream. My mate Dave came round a few weeks later, brought beers, said, "I heard you went to Thailand again." I said, "Yeah, didn't work out." He said, "What happened?" I said, "Nothing. Just realised it wasn't what I thought." He didn't push, just said, "Fair enough." We drank our beers, watched the football, didn't talk about it again. I haven't been back to Thailand. Won't go back. Can't face it. Can't face knowing that shop is still there, that Wilai and Pichai are still running it with the equipment I bought, the beds I paid for, the sign I funded, living the life I helped build. For them. Not for me. My back's been playing up again. Went to a physio in Bristol. She's decent. Not as good as Wilai, but decent. She doesn't mention her problems. Doesn't tell me about her life. Just does her job. Takes payment. That's it. Professional. The way it should be. I think about it sometimes. About how Wilai never actually asked for money. Not once. She'd just mention things. Problems, struggles, worries. And I'd offer. Every single time. She never had to ask, she just had to wait. And I'd come running with my wallet. That's the clever bit. That's what makes it hard to even call it a scam. Because she never asked. She never demanded. She never pressured. She just existed. And I threw money at her existence because it made me feel useful, made me feel needed, made me feel like I had a purpose. Catherine used to say I was too generous, too willing to help. She'd say, "Tony, you can't save everyone." I'd say, "I'm not trying to save everyone, just help where I can." She'd shake her head. Say, "Just be careful. Make sure people aren't taking advantage." I'd say they're not. I can tell the difference. Turns out I couldn't tell the difference. Couldn't tell the difference between someone who needed help and someone who was just letting me help because it benefited them. Couldn't tell the difference between friendship and convenience. Couldn't tell the difference between being kind and being a mug. I'm back in Bristol now, in the house I didn't sell, with 34 grand less in my savings. At 58, my back hurts. My chest hurts more. Not physically. Just the weight of realizing I spent 18 months building something that was never mine, helping someone who didn't need my help, just wanted my money. The house feels emptier than it did before. Before Thailand, before Wilai, before I thought I'd found a purpose. Now it's just me and the walls and Catherine's things, and the knowledge that I'm not useful anymore. Not needed. Just a lonely old bloke who got played because he was desperate to matter to someone. I learned something though. Learned that helping people feels good until you realise they were never struggling as much as they said. Learned that friendship has a price tag when one person's paying and the other's collecting. Learn that being needed and being used look exactly the same until you step back far enough to see the difference. And I learned that you can't buy purpose, can't buy meaning, can't buy feeling like you matter. You can only rent it. And the rent comes due eventually. I'm Tony, 58 years old, retired electrician from Bristol. My wife Catherine died 3 years ago. I went to Chiang Mai for my back, met Wilai, a massage therapist, professional, experienced, kind. Over 18 months I sent her £34,620 for her shop, her mother's medication, her daughter's university, her life. Except the shop was her partner's. The medication was cheaper than she said, the university fees were padded, and her partner of 12 years was living the life I funded. I'm back in Bristol now. My back still hurts. I've got nothing to show for 34 grand except the knowledge that I was convenient. Not special, just convenient. Over 18 months to a massage therapist who never asked for a penny but mentioned every problem until he offered to solve them. Her partner owned the shop Tony funded. She's still there. Tony's in Bristol with a bad back and lighter savings. Ever helped someone who never actually asked for help? Let us know below. This is my Thailand stories. Look after yourselves.